Hi everyone, welcome to Time Lesson 7. If you haven't already watched the videos for Time Lessons 1 through 6, go back and watch those first and then watch this video. Follow along, and when I snap, you can read the next word. We can think about elapsed time, or how much time has passed. We can think about the time something starts, the time that passes, and the time that something ends. Let's think about what that means. So you already know what elapsed time is, you just maybe didn't know it. We experience elapsed time every day, and elapsed just means past. So it's the time that has passed or the time that goes by. For example, if you're getting ready to eat dinner and you put the plates and spoons and forks and bowls on the table, and then you eat dinner and maybe you talk and you eat, and then when you're done, you clean up the dishes. You can think about how much time has gone by since you put those dishes on the table to when you had to clean those dishes. How much time elapsed while you were eating dinner? We think about elapsed time a lot at school because we think about things like how much more time do I have to finish my writing today, or how much more time is in the math lesson, or how much more time do we have until we go to recess and lunch. And you also think about elapsed time in your free time too. Like, let's say on a Saturday, your family wants to go to a movie and it's at a certain time, and they say, okay, we'll go to the park first before we go to the movie. They have to think about, well, how much time can we spend at the park and still get to the movie on time? And the only way they're going to figure that out is by thinking about elapsed time. As you get older, you will start to keep track of your time and plan your time. Right now, teachers and family members are planning your time for you, usually. But as you get older, you're going to have to do more of that yourself. So thinking about elapsed time is really important. When we think about elapsed time, using a number line is really helpful because it's a great way to envision time in your head. When I think about elapsed time and I plan my days or plan what I'm doing and think about how long things take, I actually see a number line in my head. I actually imagine it. And remember that different time number lines make sense for different situations. Some time number lines have short intervals, like 1 second intervals, and they don't cover too much time. So maybe not that much time has elapsed on this time number line, only about 10 seconds. Some time number lines have intervals of 5 minutes, and that's kind of what matches what we see on the analog clock. And this kind of a time number line would show that an hour has elapsed. And some time number lines are longer and show more time, like a whole part of a day. Maybe they have intervals of 1 hour and show that 12 hours have elapsed. So in different situations, we would think about different time number lines. So let's look at an example of elapsed time. We'll start by looking at time that's represented by numbers, or the way that we would see time represented on a digital clock. So we're thinking about how much time goes by, how much time passes, how much time elapses in between 2:10 and 2:25. So 2:10 will be our start time and 2:25 will be our end time. We're thinking about how much time goes by in between. So I'm going to draw a time number line to help me figure that out. And I always think about the hour first. So I'm going to look at the hour on the start time is 2, and the hour on the end time is 2. So I'm thinking that my time number line doesn't have to show like a whole day or a whole part of a day, because these two times are in the same hour. So my time number line can show something that's doesn't have to be bigger than an hour, maybe even less than an hour. And as I look at the minutes, I'm thinking, what kind of intervals might make sense to represent these minutes? I see 10 and I see 25, and I'm thinking about how the clock, on the analog clock, we skip count by fives. Maybe it makes sense to skip count by fives for this too. So I'm going to start with the hour and the start time, 2 o'clock, and I'm going to write that here at the beginning of my time number line. And I'm going to skip count by fives as I draw the tick marks and numbers on my time number line. And I hope that you're drawing along with me, maybe in the sky with your finger or on a piece of paper. And if some of you are saying, stop, 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 you are on the right track, because now I have everything I need on my number line to figure this out, because I have the start time on my number line and I have the end time on my number line. Can we plot them? I'm switching to another color so we can really see this clearly. So I'm going to plot my start time, 2:10. Where is 2:10 on the time number line? It is right here. And I also like to draw something like this to remind myself where the time starts. And now let's plot our end time, 2:25, on the time number line. I'm going to plot it right here. And I'm going to write this to remind myself that this is where the time ends. So now I can figure out how much time is in between these two red dots, how much time has elapsed. So I'm going to start at 2:10, and I'm going to skip count by fives, because I know on this time number line I have intervals of 5 minutes. So we'll start at 2:10 and skip count with me. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Great. So now I know that 15 minutes have gone by. 15 minutes have elapsed in between 2:10 and 2:25. Let's try another one. So now we have a start time of 7:45, and an end time of 3:15. And I'm going to, again, draw a time number line. And I'm going to think about what kind of time number line do I need to draw. So I'm going to think about the hours first, just like I did last time. And I'm looking at the start time, the hour is 7, and the end time, the hour is 3. So now I'm thinking, between 7 o'clock and 3 o'clock, that's a lot of time that passes. So I'm going to need a number line that represents like a whole part of a day, a number line that represents more time. I'm also looking at the minutes, and I see that the start time, the minutes are 45, and the end time, the minutes are 15. And I'm thinking about maybe I'll need to break up those hours into smaller pieces, just like in the last lesson when we thought about taking the hour clock and splitting it into 4 pieces. And those 4 pieces were groups of 15 minutes. And that kind of matches what I'm seeing here, because I remember that 15, 30, and 45 were important numbers for minutes. So as I draw this number line, it's going to be a little different than what we're used to with a regular number line, because I'm going to think about these minutes, or these groups of minutes, just for 7 o'clock and 3 o'clock. All the hours in between, I don't need to think about the 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes in those hours, because they're not important to what I'm thinking about. I just need to think about the start time and the end time. You'll see what I mean as I start to draw. So I'm going to start with the hour, 7 o'clock, and I'm going to do 15-minute intervals for 7 o'clock. So 7:15, 7:30, 7:45, and 8 o'clock. And I'm going to stop there, and I'm not going to write the 15-minute intervals after 8 o'clock. I'm not going to write them anymore until I get to 3 o'clock, because that's when I need to think about them again. So from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm just going to draw 1 hour intervals to save time and space. So 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Are you drawing with me or following along? 2, and 3 o'clock. And I'm going to stop there, because I know now my minutes are important again. And I think I'm going to use those groups of 15 minutes again, because I see that my end time is 3:15. So I'm going to draw 3:15, 3:30. And if you're saying, stop, 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 you are right, because now I have everything that I need to figure this out because I've already gotten to my end time. So I have my start time and my end time on the number line. So I have everything I need to figure it out. So I'm going to switch to another color to make it really clear. Let's plot our start time, 7:45. So where is 7:45 on the number line? That's right, it's right here. And where is 3:15 on the number line? That's right, it's right here. Now we're going to have to figure out how much time is in between those two red dots. How much time passes or elapses between 7:45 and 3:15? And to count this, we're going to have to count it in kind of a different way because we have different kinds of intervals on the same number line. So we're going to have to really count carefully. So we're going to start at 7:45, and my first jump is from 7:45 to 8. And from 7:45 to 8, I know that 15 minutes has gone by. So I'm just going to write that there, 15 minutes. And now I know from my next jump, 8 to 9, that's a 1 hour interval. And I know I have 1 hour intervals here. So I'm just going to skip count by hours now. So skip count with me. Let's start at 8 o'clock, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, and 7 hours. And I'm going to stop at 3 o'clock because I remember that's where I switched back to 15-minute intervals. So that's 7 hours here. And if you want, you can even draw a line, a big line, to help you separate the different intervals. My last jump is from 3 o'clock to 3:15. So how much time goes by between 3 o'clock and 3:15? 15 minutes. All right. So now I have to add up all of the time that I figured out that's in between these two red dots. So I always like to start by grouping the hours together. So I know I have 7 hours. 7 hours have gone by. And then 15 minutes and 15 minutes. So we'll have to add those up. 15 plus 15 is 30. So 7 hours and 30 minutes have gone by in between 7:45 and 3:15. So it feels a little easier when we see numbers, or when we see time represented by numbers in an elapsed time problem, and we see like two digital clocks. It feels a little bit easier to figure out because we can go straight to drawing our number line. When we see problems like this, where we see two analog clocks, it feels a little bit harder, but it's actually not. You just have to layer together the things that you already know. So instead of one step going straight to the number line, there's 2 steps. So you take your analog clock, and first you figure out what time it's representing. You tell time on the analog clock and make it into a digital clock. Write it with numbers. So I'm going to use what I already know about telling time on analog clocks and figure out that my start time is 6:15 and my end time is 6:45. And now I can draw a time number line. And then I can do all the steps that we just talked about in the last 2 problems to figure out how much time has gone by in between these 2 times. So instead of just going straight from the digital clock to the number line, you go from the analog clock to the digital clock to the number line. And if you follow those steps, it'll be a lot easier for you to figure out. Before I show you your quiz for today, I wanted to show you 2 resources that are really helpful for time that I will include the link for in the description below. Toy Theater Teacher Tools, which has an interactive clock on it, which is really great for figuring out time and practicing time. So you should go check that out. And also this clock face generator, which I used to help me make this lesson. Like let's say you wanted to show the time 5:30, you could just select that time and it will show you what it looks like on the analog clock. So here's your quiz for today. And for all of these problems, you'll have to figure out how much time has elapsed in between the start time and the end time. Good luck, and look out for the next lesson soon.